Most business owners are stuck doing the same repetitive tasks every single week. Writing proposals, repurposing content, answering the same client questions over and over. And here's the thing, you know this work needs to get done, but it's not moving your business forward. It's just keeping the lights on. So what if you could build a team of AI employees that actually did this work for you? Not just answered questions when you asked them, but proactively completed tasks, updated databases, and ran reports without you lifting a finger. Well, Notion just released their new custom AI agents, and it's just starting to become possible. Now, a few months ago, I made a video about Notion's personal AI agent, the one that lives in the corner of your workspace and helps you when you ask it questions. But custom AI agents are completely different. These are AI teammates that run automatically in the background, following specific instructions that you've set it, and actually complete work on your behalf. Now, if you don't know me, my name's Sam Bird. I'm an operations consultant and I've helped over 100 agency owners systemize their business and sold over 3,000 system templates online. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what custom AI agents are, how they work, and walk you through some use cases. So let's dive in. Alright, so before we jump into the demos, let me explain what custom AI agents actually are and why they might be a big deal. Custom AI agents are AI-powered teammates that live inside your Notion workspace. Now, while the previous personal AI agent was reactive, where you would ask it a question and it would give you answers and then maybe do some tasks for you, custom AI agents are proactive. They can run automatically based on triggers and schedules without you needing to prompt them. So instead of you going into Notion AI and saying, hey, can you create a proposal for this client? You can set up a custom agent that automatically creates proposals whenever, for example, a deal reaches the draft proposal stage. Or instead of manually repurposing your content every week, you build an agent that does it for the moment you mark a video as repurpose. That's the key difference. So now let's take a look at how they work under the hood. So as you're probably already aware of, here is the typical Notion AI that we were using, and we had the ability to personalize our own personal AI agents, given it specific instructions. But now with our custom agents, we can see here in our sidebar amongst our team spaces, we have agents. And this is where we can create specific agents for specific tasks. So to create a new agent, we come up to here and hit add new agent. And then we open up with this window here. And this is where Notion is going to use AI itself to help you create the agent. So we can either add some instructions in this box here, or we can work with some of the templates that are provided. Now, for now, I'm gonna create blank just to show you what we can see. But I'll walk you through a little bit later how we can use AI to create our own AI agents. So here is what a custom AI agent looks like. You can see, first of all, in this tab, we are in the settings. And in the settings, we have 4 main components that we can use to control this agent. So the first thing is the triggers. What is the thing that is going to trigger this agent to begin its work? So you can see this example one, we've got a trigger might be a new chat with this agent itself, or it might be when the agent is mentioned in Notion, so that could be inside the comments of a page. But if I hit add trigger, you'll see we have some options. So first of all, we have a recurring schedule. So we can set this to happen every day, every week, every month, every year. And so autonomously, this agent will trigger just based on the time. Then we have some app triggers. So for Notion, we can do it for when a comment is added to a page, when a database item is actually updated, when a page is removed from a database. We also have one for Notion Mail, although this is currently in alpha. And then we have one for Slack. So this can be when a message is posted in a specific Slack channel, when an emoji reaction is added to a message, or when the bot itself is mentioned in a message. The second component is the instructions themselves that we just write freehand here in this box. And this is where you define the agent's job. What should it do? How should it behave? And what are the outcomes that you want? You can think of this box a bit like a job description or an SOP for a new team member. And of course, the clearer the instructions, the better the results you'll get. The third component is tools and access. This is where you can control what the agent can see and what it can do. So first of all, we can choose if we want it to have web access or not. And then we can say within Notion itself what we want it to be able to see. So do we want it to have access to Notion's help center? Do we want it to be able to view any pages that are shared with everyone within our workspace? And then can we actually set specific pages that we want it to see? So for example, if I need it to have access to our client projects database, I can set that here, but I can also give it higher access. So I could say can edit content, and then it'll be able to actually add and amend parts of that page. Within tools and access, we also have the ability to add connections to other apps. And you can see we have a few here, and I'm sure more will be added in the future. But one of the key ones being Slack here, we can install this and connect it to our agent, and then it can actually read and edit information within Slack. And then the fourth and final component we have here is the model. So we can actually choose the specific model we want this agent to use. So we can set this to auto, so Notion will basically decide what is the best model for the use case. Or if we want it to always be Claude, we can set it for that, GPT, so on and so forth. Now, once we actually save this agent, that will allow us to toggle over to the other tabs here. So the first is the activity, and as you can see, there's nothing showing yet because we haven't triggered the agent, but this will basically give us a history of all of the different actions the agent has taken. And then the next one is the chat, where we can actually start to chat to this agent and ask it questions. And that's it. That's the main components of the AI agent. We have instructions to tell the agent what to do, triggers to tell it when to do it, and tools access to show it where it can find information. But as I mentioned, we can actually use AI to help us create agents. And I found this really is the best way to do it, not on your own, but using AI to help you. So let me walk you through how that works. So again, to create a new agent, I'm going to come to agents in my sidebar and hit new agent. And now I am going to use this chat box to help me. So what I want to do is when a YouTube video and then I'm going to mention my content database is set to the status of, and then repurpose, please create one LinkedIn post and one email newsletter promoting the video. And then to specify, I'm going to say, please add each content piece as an entry inside the content database with the correct channel tagged and set the status to review. And now I've done that, I can just go ahead and hit enter. What that's going to do is create a new agent, but here in the chat, it's actually going to start working away to create this agent for us. All right, so there we go. In a couple of minutes, it's finished what it's doing. It's given me a summary of what it's actually done inside of the agent. But if I minimize this window, I can take a look. So first of all, in the triggers, it's set to when the agent is mentioned in Notion, but more importantly, when the property is updated in content. So if I click into this, you can see it's got the correct database, the content database. What it hasn't done is it's just got the status, but it hasn't chosen the to repurpose status. And that's because I haven't got one. So let me add one of those into our content database. And let me just save changes. So let's go ahead and add that as a status option here. So to repurpose, we'll drag this like so. I suspect if I did have a to repurpose option, the AI would have been able to actually create this for me. So let's choose the to repurpose option and hit done. So now it's only going to trigger when the status is set to this, and then we can hit done for that. And then what it's also done is filled out the instructions. So it's given us an overview of what it's going to do. It said what the main job is, which is create a LinkedIn post with the correct channel and status, create an email newsletter, again with the correct tags, and then it's how to format the content. So one for LinkedIn and then one for the email newsletter. We can see for the tools and access, it's also given the correct access level for the content database, which is can edit content, which will allow it to actually add new entries to the database. And then right now the model has been set to auto. So let's go ahead and save this AI agent and let's actually test it. So to test it, I'm going to go back over to my content database. And I just finished filming this how to invite contractors into Notion. You can check out this video here if that sounds interesting. But let's take this and drag it into repurpose and see if the agent is able to do its job. So I've gone over to the AI agent and the activity bar, and we can see that it's currently showing one property was updated. So it looked like it's caught it. Now let's see the outcome. And there we go. We can see in our to review section now, we have one LinkedIn post and one email newsletter with the correct channels assigned. And if we open this up, we should see in the page body for this is our LinkedIn post, I believe. We have a post here that's formatted in the way that we expected it to. And then the same for our email newsletter. If we open this up in the page body, we've now got an email newsletter with the subject and some information. So it really is as simple as that to set up an AI agent using AI. Now from here, what I like to do is fix any mistakes that might have happened and refine the overall instructions, again, using AI to help me. Now, there weren't any mistakes for the test run that we just did, but for example, if there were, let's say the channel wasn't added, I might add something like this, like the channel tags were missing when I did a test run. Please update your instructions to avoid this happening in the future. And then I could go ahead and hit enter, and the AI agent would actually update its own instructions to sort of troubleshoot this issue. The second thing I'd like to do is update these instructions. And what I want to do is get a bit more specific about the actual format for the content. So I'm going to start with the email newsletter. It created quite a nice one, but I have a very specific way I like my email newsletters to be done. And I already have this information within my Claude projects. So I have an email newsletter Claude project. And if I come over to the instructions, you can see I have this reference email newsletter. So I've copied that, and then I'm going to open up the agent here and come into the chat box. And I'm going to say, please update your instructions to include this email newsletter reference that you can use to write newsletters aligned with my voice and style. Now, I could just paste this loose into the chat box, but what I might do instead is add this email newsletter reference as a document in my docs database. So I come to my docs database and toggle over to my wiki view, and I have here, for example, this reference section. So I'm going to add a new doc in here, and this is going to be email newsletter example. Going to open this up and paste this inside here. So now that I have this inside of the chat box, I can now just mention this page like so, and then hit enter. So now it's updated the instructions, and if we take a look in here, you can see how to format email newsletter, and it's explained what the key characteristics are of this email based on the reference. And then it's also added a link to the actual reference itself so the AI can start using it now. So I can go ahead and save my adjustments and refinements. And just like that, I've created my own custom AI agent. All right, so that's what custom AI agents are and how to set them up for yourself. Now let's jump into some use cases. So the first one I have for you is this meeting action items agent. And the point of this is to overcome a problem I was previously having with Notion's AI meeting notes. So as an example, you can see here I have this document for a client meeting, and we have that AI meeting notes block inside this page where we were able to record the call, and then AI is able to create a transcript and a summary. Now these summaries are great, and what they do at the bottom is tend to leave you with some action items. Now the problem I was facing is that you still have to put these action items into your dedicated tasks database if you want to actually have the rest of the team interact with them. We don't just want them loose here on the page. Now, I always use a tasks database relation here, a linked view of the task database. And so it is possible to come in and drag all of these tasks into here and put them into the database like so. But that would still mean we need to make sure we have the correct assignee, the correct client project, and then any additional details. So what I decided to do was create this meeting action items agent. And so the settings for this is when this agent is mentioned inside of Notion. And the instructions basically say, please extract action items from AI meeting notes. And what we want you to do is find the meeting notes block, extract all the action items, create a task with the task name, assignee, due date, status, any other details, set the properties for the task as well. So we want to make sure we relate it to that meeting and we relate it to the correct client project, and then some things to look out for and how to identify assignees correctly. So a lot of instructions, and this is something that I built using the AI itself and helped me fix any mistakes and refine. And then you can see here in the access, we have the tasks and docs given access because that's what is needed. So just to show you this in practice, once we have finished this meeting, I would just need to come in here and mention meeting action items agent, hit enter, and I'll leave it in a comment just like I would be leaving a comment for another team member. You can see that the agent actually leaves an emoji to show me that it's currently working on it. And then if we scroll down to the bottom and open this up, we should actually see this be filled out in real time. So there you go. We can see that we've had these tasks created for us. We've got different assignees that have been set. There's no due dates, but I don't believe there was any specific discussion about when these tasks need to be done in the transcript itself. And then what it's also done is assigned it to the correct client project as well, which is really helpful. So now when we're actually inside the client project itself, these tasks will be sitting here waiting for us, assigned to the right people. I think this first use case is going to be a very popular one and something a lot of people will be using. I hope in the future Notion considers creating a dedicated trigger for when there is a new AI meeting note, so this can happen autonomously. But for now, I'm pretty happy with the workflow of just doing the app mention after the call and knowing all those tasks will be created for me. The next use case I have is actually one that I started from one of Notion's AI agent templates, and it's this new hire buddy. The purpose of this, or the idea of this agent, is to help you answer any questions about your company's knowledge base for any new hires. Now, as I've started to build this, I think it's expanded it into an overall sort of company knowledge partner for anyone on the team to use throughout their time with your company. So the triggers for this are very simple. When a new chat with the new hire buddy in Notion is started, and then the instructions look something like this. So your job is to help new hires feel supported. The workflow will be that they will search for answers to the user's questions and respond using a response guideline. Now, the response guideline is that we want them to only use information from our wiki docs inside of our docs database. So that would be any docs with a type property with wiki in the title. And also, we only want to use things that has a verification status so that our internal team have actually verified that this SOP or this template or this reference guide is up to date and accurate. That's very important. And also that it's not going to use any information from other sources or doc types within our workspace. For the response guidelines, we also want to make sure that we add a summary of the answers and then link to the specific wiki doc. So we're encouraging that behavior that we always want to still look to and use our SOPs. So let's give this a test run. If we open up the chat here, that will automatically link it to our new hire buddy. And let's ask it a question. For example, let's say, how do I create video thumbnails? And I can go ahead and hit enter and let Notion AI ponder. So here we go, it's given me a nice succinct answer here. It said based on your SOP, and then it's given me a link to the SOP. So I can always click into this and actually review the SOP itself. But it's given me a summary of that SOP with the steps and the sub steps here. Now that's quite helpful for learning how to do an overall process and resurfacing the SOPs. But what about if we asked a very specific question about an overall piece of information? For example, inside of our wiki, I know we have this reference section, and inside of here, we have these dedicated page guides that basically show someone how to use a particular page within our workspace. So we have this client's page guide, and we have a dedicated YouTube video that shows people how to use it with some screen recordings on there. And then we also have a transcript of that video. So if a new hire is getting onboarded, they may watch this video the first time around and absorb about 80% of the information. But as they're starting to use our system over the course of a couple of weeks, they may forget things and they may have a very specific question about something and not want to have to watch the entire video to find it out. So if I was to come in here and say, how do I create tasks automatically within the client projects database, and hit enter. And here it's giving me an answer exactly what I'm looking for. So based on your workspace and specifically based on your SOP, which is this client's page guide, which has been verified and got the wiki item tag. Here's how your current system works. When a status change is set to planning and the services are tagged, it's going to create the tasks based on those information. And then what it's also done is said, if you're wanting to set up your own automation, here's how you might do that. And it's given me some suggestions. So this is really, really helpful for a new hire who may have absorbed and read and watched a lot of onboarding material, but they just have a very specific question that they want answered to. This next use case is again something that I stole from Notion's own AI custom agents templates. And again, this solves a massive problem that I see across my clients, which is that they are starting to try to use Notion more seriously, but they're still spread across Slack, and people tend to still try to get work done just by sending messages in Slack and asking people to do things for them. So what this custom AI agent does is it checks Slack inside any of the channels. And when this emoji, which is this checkbox emoji here, is added to a message, it's then going to basically add it as a task within our task database based on these instructions here. And you can see we have access to both the client projects database, the task database, and the Slack. So let's say we're inside of our Slack and I've just had the idea that I need John to send the client portal to Jenny for Acme Co tomorrow. Now I can send this message and John or myself may come in here and say, oh, okay, I need to do that, but let me make sure I add that as a task myself inside of Notion. So all he needs to do is add a reaction, find that check icon and click like that. And then you can see that the AI has actually replied in a thread to this message saying that the task was created, view in Notion here. So if I click this open, we can see within our task database, we have assigned to John, send a client portal to Jenny for Acme Co. And if we open this up, we can actually see that this has been set for tomorrow. And even more impressively, that it's been related to the Acme Co client project. So this now actually sits within this project as well. I think this is a really powerful use case for custom AI agents if you're looking to get your team onto Notion and using it more seriously. This avoids anything slipping through the cracks and reinforces the behavior that we only do tasks that are actually jotted inside our task database. So we've seen an AI agent that gets triggered when it's mentioned in a page. We've seen one that we can chat with in a Q&A style. We've seen one that triggers when a status is changed. And we've also seen one that's triggered when we react to a message inside a Slack. Now, in this final use case, I'd like to show you an AI agent that works completely on its own on a schedule. So here we have an example of what might be a weekly project update. So the idea of this is that it's going to scan our client project database, as well as our tasks and our docs that are related to that client projects database. And on a weekly basis, we have it set here for every week on a Friday at 9 a.m. It's going to create for us a weekly update document that is going to be sent inside of our docs database. And he's basically going to give a summary of everything that has happened across our different client projects. So just to show you an example of one that was triggered earlier before this video, you can see here in this weekly update section, we have the weekly client projects update with the day's date. And we can see in here, it's basically said, we've got a TLDR focused on projects for ABC Co. And then under each section, we have one for ABC Co. and one for Acme Co. And it's showing us what happened this week. And then if there were any tasks that were set for next week, it would show us what's going to be happening next week and just gives an overall report on what is happening across our client projects. These project updates can be really, really helpful for someone like a project manager or even a founder to get a quick pulse on how things are doing across multiple clients without having to actually go into each of the different databases and getting into the nitty-gritty. Now, admittedly, I'm still trying to iron out some of the bumps with this AI agent. One of them being that at the moment, I'm trying to get it to read information based on the tasks and docs that are related to a given client project. And also I want it to look at the page comments within the client project as well. And when I looked at some of the reports it was sending me, it did seem to be missing out some information. So this is definitely still a work in progress. But the overall vision being that if we could create this on a schedule, it'd be amazing for the team. So there you go. There is Notion's new custom AI agents in all of its glory. Hopefully you can see from this video the power in these custom agents and what they'll be able to do for you and your business. Now, I just shared a few use cases here in this video, but if you would like to see a ton more use cases and see my step-by-step process on how to actually create a custom agent and make sure that it works every single time, you should check out this video here. And let me know down in the comments what you're most excited to use a custom agent for in your business. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.